This week we're going to be studying about facilitative responding. As we work through the concepts and the chapters for this week, we're going to be learning more about and practicing facilitative responding, which is responding with concreteness and genuineness. In addition to the reading in your book with Gazda and Associates, you're also going to be reading from Tripp and Lane about mercy, time, and money. Mercy is something we should give out, and time and money are things that we all spend very carefully. In Chapter 14, you're going to learn about the global ratings and responding levels for rating helper responses. In the global ratings in this chapter, you're going to learn that level 1 is harmful, level 2 is ineffective, level 3 is facilitative, level 4 is additive. Each of these levels is defined in Chapter 14 and explained. You'll be using these definitions and examples to decide the level of your responses in some of your exercises where the answers are not given. So whenever you complete those exercises, compare your answers to the global ratings and see if you managed to get a level 3, and if you did, why you did, and if you didn't, why you didn't, or whether you agree or disagree. That will be part of your responses this time. We've reached a point in our process of learning how to effectively enable the helper-helpee relationship so that together we can start to come up with some action plans for our helpee. In this chapter, Chapter 15, which is called Facilitative Responding, it discusses some things that we really need to watch in our conversations. These are things that cause language distortions. As you read through this chapter, think back to the things you've learned in your own Bible study and from the text about messy relationships, and decide where you can apply biblical principles to the things that are given in this chapter. The 3 types of language distortions are normalization, generalization, and deletion. Normalization is when you take an action that your helpee is telling you about and you turn that action into a noun. That normalizes it and takes away the importance. The generalization you understand when you generalize it, and deletion is when you just leave it out. And all of those things hurt our conversation with our helpee and our ability to help that person. The second type of conversation problem is called idiosyncratic credit. Idiosyncratic credit is when we assign, because of a person's relationship to us or because of their position, we maybe assign privileges to that helpee because of those things. A relationship can be acknowledged, but it has to be earned. I mean, you may be working with someone that you need to acknowledge that relationship. Maybe it's your parent, or maybe it is someone that you greatly respect. You need to acknowledge that, but they still need to earn any privileges that you give them. In other words, you can hurt your ability to help them if you think that they know everything or that they have it all together. Your book talks about going to the dentist. You go to a dentist because he has a dental degree and you assume he's going to be a good dentist, but if you have a poor visit, you never go back. So in the same way, your helpee has to earn that relationship for you being the helper. Chapter 16 in Gazda and Associates book is about perceiving and responding with concreteness. This chapter emphasizes that concreteness is very important both in perceiving and in responding. Concreteness also helps with empathy in the early stages of helping someone else. Therefore, it's important for both the helper and the helpee to respond with concreteness. On page 166, Gazda and Associates define concreteness as the specificity of expression, involves the direct and thorough communication of specific feelings and experiences, regardless of their emotional content, by both the helper and the helpee. Fisher, in his book on communication and organization, says that the helper must focus on specifics rather than vague generalities. If the helpee begins to generalize or pretend like what he's talking about is someone else's problem, then the helper must help the helpee refocus and get specific. Colossians 4:6 says, "Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you know how you ought to answer every man." Prayer helps with concreteness, being able to be specific with others. The book of Titus also has a lot to say about how to respond to others. And in chapter 2, the book of Titus talks about having a pattern of good works. And in verse 8, this pattern extends to our speech. It talks about having sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. In this chapter, it also talks about two types of questions. And as teachers, we understand there are two types of questions: open-ended, which are divergent, and closed-ended, which are convergent. You're familiar with these types of questions. You know that convergent questions have one answer, while divergent questions can have many answers. If you ask a convergent question, you're going to get one word. If you stick with divergent questions, then you will help your helpee to think about his or her answer. But don't turn questioning into an interrogation. Okay, then also in this chapter you're given the concreteness scale. In chapter 17, you're going to review and learn more about being genuine with your helpee and determining if your helpee is being genuine with you. A very helpful response reminds me of our conversation about teacher-parent conference, stating points with which you can agree, verbalizing the problem, and proposing a solution or the beginning of a solution. Ephesians 4:15 says, "But speaking the truth in love may grow up unto him in all things, which is the head, even Christ." Sometimes the truth is something that's hard to speak, but it must be spoken in love. You must be genuine with your helpee and with yourself. When you're the helper, you can't just be playing a role. You need to be genuine. Be real. But this doesn't mean anything goes. This doesn't mean that you say everything you know or everything you want to say. It means that whatever you say is true and real. Facilitative genuineness is different from the constructive genuineness. In his article, Therapeutic Genuineness, C.H. Patterson states that genuineness does not require that therapists, or in our case helpers, always express all of their feelings. It only requires that whatever they do express is real and genuine and not incongruent. And at a minimal level, genuineness is not being insincere, not being dishonest or phony or incongruent. Genuineness is not impulsiveness, though the two appear to be equated in the minds of many instructors as well as students. Sometimes people think you have to say the first thing that comes into your head. Oh no. Sometimes you need to just stop and think and pray. Philippians 1:10 says that you may approve things that are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense until the day of Christ. We're supposed to be genuine or sincere without offense. That is the key. So sometimes the first thing you think is not the best. Pray and pause and always help the other person. If you repeat, sometimes you just need to repeat back what you thought you heard your helpee say. But both the helper and the helpee need to be genuine. If you think your helpee is not being genuine, you may need to talk through what he or she has said and help them to learn to be real with you too. So let's end these chapters by reminding ourselves that mercy is a noun, but mercy is something you do also. According to Lane and Tripp, mercy is driven by three character qualities: compassion, forgiveness, and forbearance. Though mercy overlooks minor offenses, mercy does not negate consequences. Everyone reaps consequences for their actions, even if they're forgiven. The chapter on time and money reminds us that we cannot do everything for everyone, and sometimes enabling someone to continue in sin is worse than not helping. But it does call us to stop and think about how we spend our time and money and how that glorifies God. So, enjoy your work this week.